let's not do that. Okay, it says it's live now. So,
All right. So we're live. I'm Cam. Nice to meet y'all.
I'm Leanne.
I'm Grace.
All right. So I'm from Spartanburg, currently living in Greenville. I'm a wildlife biology major, and I'm glad to have y'all in my group. So
I'm from Piedmont, South Carolina, so it's halfway in between Anderson and Greenville. But I live in Clemson right now because I've been obviously taking summer classes because I did an internship in the spring. But I'm a graphic communications major, and I'll be a senior this year. So,
Yeah, I am from Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm in Charlotte doing an internship now and taking summer classes. I'm also a graphic communications major, and I will be a senior in the fall.
yep, I was a senior as well. So that's cool. At least we're all on the same page.
Got 1 year left.
1 year.
One more. So basically for chapter 10, I don't know what y'all specifically got out of it, but definitely thought is like things stood out to me most would be like policies. I know that I was reading through some of the what was it, the assignments that other people did. That way I could comment on theirs, and they definitely had a lot more different things than I have. Like for wildlife biology, a lot of our ethics, we don't really have ethics because we're just we present scientific information. So basically, if your information is peer reviewed, it's been tested several times, and you've tested your hypothesis several times, and it's reviewed by the scientific community. That's really all we had for ethics, other than to like be a decent person. But I don't know. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think it is interesting to read other people's based on their majors, because I know in graphics we have a lot of ethics to take into consideration, like copywriting and
all the different you have to think about copyright and laws and branding, and you don't want to like overstep your boundaries on certain things as far as like colors go. I know that that's like a big thing with Coke is like they have the Coke Red, so you don't want to use Coke Red on anything else. So I know that like that helped a lot. This chapter 10 helped a lot with like ethics and stuff, like you were saying, Grace, just like understanding the copyright laws and everything like that.
Yeah, see, I've never thought of that at all. I'm like, basically, I have a hypothesis, and I'm testing to see, what makes this animal feel better. So
it makes it easier when you don't have to worry about breaking the law.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like you can definitely tell it uses everybody's actual like scholarly ability to do this, because it's definitely different. But I don't know. Anything y'all found interesting specifically on like instructions or procedures?
I know that for the instructions, it helped a lot with our usability study that we're having to work on right now. As far as just like planning out instructions, because I never really think about having to write instructions for people very often and making them super easy to understand. I think sometimes we forget that, you like have to explain something so that people that don't know what you're talking about can understand what you're talking about. So I think that part of the chapter really helped me with trying to figure out what to say and how to say it.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's a lot harder to if you understand something, someone else might not understand it, so you have to put it in their form so they can understand it.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. I'm not used to writing instructions at all. Basically, like I try and write a paper and hope that people can read it.
Yeah.
Well, I think that covers chapter 10 pretty well. Y'all want to go ahead and move on to oral reports?
Yeah, I say we do that. I guess I can talk. So I know that with reading this, I know we're not in class, so we're not having to do this in person, but I guess this is considered something that would be an oral report. But I know this helps me a lot in other classes as well, just knowing like not to read straight from slides, to keep everything super simple and easy to understand, because you don't want to just be reading off what you put on your slide to someone, they can read. So I think that like those kind of things really help with you getting your point across and making sure that people know like what you're trying to say without you putting a paragraph on a slide in front of them.
Yeah, I agree. I am not the best with oral presentations. I'm very self-conscious and not confident at all. So like knowing, like planning out what you're going to do before and like having a good idea of how to approach it is very important for an effective oral presentation.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always felt like I'm pretty good at talking to people. Like I like to sell things and I'm always willing and dealing. So it kind of gave me like an unprofessional standpoint of being able to talk to people, but not really a professional standpoint. And I feel like the chapter 11 on oral reports, one thing that I actually learned outside of class that I applied to this, it was actually an ROTC. And basically you have like it's called like a working report or kind of like a working outline. And basically when you talk to people, you got to tell them what you're going to tell them. Then you tell them what you told them, or no, tell them what you're tell them, and then tell them what you told them. That way there's no information missed. Everybody knows exactly what you're trying to get, and you can do it in a really concise amount of time. Like I know we had to present like a whole page's worth of information in like under 4 minutes. And then like, if you didn't present it in that amount of time, you had to do push-ups or something like that. So definitely, it makes you think on your feet and it keeps you like time consistent. Cause I know that's one of the things for this class is, staying consistent, like basically don't run over your allotted amount of time, because in the professional world, that would really get on people's nerves.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good way to put it.
That's really important to make sure you like lay out exactly what you're going to say so that they know exactly what you're going to say.
Yeah, especially in a business setting when people have meetings all day, you got to get your point across in the least amount of time possible so they can get on with their day.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they'll appreciate that a lot more too, so they might like you better.
Yep,
Definitely.
Self-conscious about it, you'd be like, you know what? They got it. They liked it. We're good to go.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right. So definitely I like that. I like that we decided, to use visuals. It's really interesting. I kind of view this as a visual because I've never used like this, whatever hangout thing this is before. So this is a whole new world for me.
Yeah.
Definitely. So you want to go ahead and move to chapter 12?
Yeah, this is an important one, especially for us about to graduate and go into the real world. Got to start sending our resumes out and applying for jobs. So I think this was a very important chapter to help us understand how to write an effective resume. Because writing a resume, you're basically in competition with everyone else in your field. So you want your resume to stand out from everyone else's, and following these steps was helpful for me updating my resume for the portfolio.
Yeah, I agree. I know that he made some comments on mine that really helped me with like reading back on that and just kind of building my resume based off of what he said towards my resume and how I can just improve and stuff, because sometimes you're looking at it all day, every day, and you don't realize like, oh, maybe I should do it a different way. And it helps to have an outside person look in and tell you maybe you should think about this instead of what you're doing now. So I think that's really helpful.
Yeah, I actually I think one of my comments was like, I had good information and I had like things that people wanted to see about me, but like the way aesthetically, like all I had was like sentences.
Mm-hmm.
And I had it in like scientific writing, and I'm like, here's my source, but they didn't really have it. Like I didn't have it to the point where like they could just bullet point it and just be like, you know what, he's done this, 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 and this, and that's what we're looking for. So it definitely helped me to go back and actually like reformat just the information that I had on my resume.
Yeah, it's just like the oral presentations. You want it to be short. You want the employer to be able to see exactly what you do. Boom, boom, boom. And
bang, bang. Let's see. I know I don't know. Did y'all include like any pictures or anything like aesthetically pleasing on your resume, or was it all just basic information?
Mine was just basic information. As a graphics student, I feel like I could push the limits a little bit and like have a cute design, which I know a lot of people do. I just have not found a design that I find like professional enough. But I do eventually want to put a branded something in. I know, Leanne, don't you have?
Yeah, that's something that I tried to do with my resume, is just like, I try to stick with something that I can carry across universally if I need to. And I want it to look aesthetically pleasing also, but I want to still keep it professional so that when people are looking at it, they're like, oh, it's not this girl just like who loves arts and crafts all the time. It's someone who actually like kind of knows what she's doing, because I feel like in our industry especially, like that's kind of their first impression of you, and that's how they immediately see you on paper, and you kind of have to push the boundaries a little bit on that and make them think like, oh wow, I was really impressed by her resume, let's bring her in and interview her. Which is something, and it works differently for everyone. Like obviously some places you probably don't need to have a resume like that, but for other places it works out really well. So it's kind of just like a give and take on what they're looking for and what you're looking for, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think it wouldn't be like in my field, you wouldn't want like a picture of a deer like across the bottom of your resume, but I'm thinking, maybe I could just use like a little bit more brighter vocabulary. That's one thing that I've definitely tried to do, is just like use it like a thesaurus, just look up some different, synonyms,
yeah,
vocabulary a little bit, and that might honestly catch a employer's eye, is what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I think that that's the key to resumes, is just like putting something on there that's going to catch their eye, and that however you do it is however you do it. And I think that it works for different people different ways. But just making sure that you have something on there that they immediately are just like, wow, I'm impressed by that person. So
like, have y'all been actually asked if like y'all had like a copy of your resume with you yet for like any of your internship like applications, or no?
Yeah, we do in graphics. We have like an intern employer day where you like go to the ballrooms in Hendricks, and there's like a bunch of different companies. So we have to have like 20 resumes on hand for the amount of people you talk to. That's the only time I have ever done it. I've never really been in the situation where I've been on my own and someone asks me for a resume. But I don't know, that's just me.
Yeah, I haven't had anyone directly ask me. It's just always, if I'm there, they're like, oh, do you have a resume? But it's normally for something like intern employer day, where they kind of expect you to have one on hand anyways. Yeah. I'm never just like at a job, they're like, oh, do you have a resume? So
that's kind of how it was. Like, honestly, I've got a volunteer internship with DNR right now, and they surprise me all the time. I was just like, the first day I showed up, I was like, hey, can I get an application? And I filled out the application, and they're like, can you work today? I was like, yeah. Do you have a resume also? And I was like, no. Like, sorry, but I don't know. I feel like the wildlife biology department needs like an internship day, so maybe like graphic communications people could help us out with that.
Yeah, I definitely think now that we're at the point in our life where we need to find a job, that it is important to have a resume on us at all times.
Yeah.
Because you never know who you're going to see when.
Yeah. I've always got like an electronic copy, but I don't always have my computer handy. So that's like the dilemma with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's always stressful going into intern employer day and knowing just like you have to impress someone. So it feels good to hand in a resume that like I'm not worried that they would be like, oh, what is she doing? Like, why is she here? Right. So I feel like that's the key, is just like being confident in what you're giving out to people, which you have to like in general to give it out to people. So I think that's important.
That's cool. That's a different perspective. I didn't think about that one. Well, I think we about covered chapter 12. You want to go ahead and wrap this up?
Yeah, we can. I'm good with that.
All right, cool. So we have it on live right now, and so it should be archiving, I think.
I have it live, and it's supposed to be broadcasting on YouTube. So let's
On the YouTube.
cross our fingers that this worked. So I'm going to stop the broadcast, and then I think it still keeps us on. So